my god, thank you! Yes! Yes! Let's go! I was recording that, right? Good. Yes! Let's go! Let's go! Yes! Oh my god. Yes, dude! Yes! Yes! Holy shit! Yes! Oh my god, I beat Sync. Oh. Yes! Oh, 2371 on main. 7876 on the copy. I'll explain why that attempt counts very high in just a second. Ooh, can I do this in my head? 7, 4, 2, 10. 10, 2, 4, 7. I'm going to check that with the calculator. I'm also going to give my hands time to not be numb and shaky. It's I just accidentally jitter clicked my iPhone screen trying to use a fucking calculator, bro. Oh my god, yes! Okay, so let's start by saying, yay, I've completed 3,000 demons now. Great. I wanted to do Sync for the milestone for a few reasons. One, I did Artificial Ascent last time for the milestone, and it was like a low extended list, and Sync is currently a low extended list. So I was like, sure, we'll just kind of keep that trend going. Why not? Secondly, this is a level that I've been playing for quite a while. I don't know if it's been... How long has this level been out? At least a year. Then I've been playing this level for at least a year. When this first came out, like first dropped, and it was like pending on the list... Like, right, I was like, I'll check it out, you know, thinking it'll probably place, like, mid to low extended. Like, back a year ago, I'm thinking it's probably mid to low extended then, right? I was playing through it, and playing the ending, which is the easy part, right? The beginning's fucking brutal. I was playing the ending, which is the easy part, and I was like, this is pretty fun, maybe I'll go for this. And then I see that it placed, I'm pretty sure it placed main list, right? And I'm like, oh, fuck, okay, never mind. We'll put this on the back burner. And it was just a level, it was truly for a while, it was a level that I would just every now and then go do a no-clip accuracy run of, just for fucking funsies, just to see how it went. There was a time when I was practicing early on where I was like, I was pretty consistent and like, I would get through the level in no-clip accuracy with a pretty high percentage. I mean, I was nowhere near ready to beat the level, but I was like, you know, I knew the level. I knew the whole level. There was a point where I knew the whole level, right? Even if not well, I knew everything. Then I pretty much didn't play it for like half a year, maybe longer. Like, I really didn't play it much for a while. And then I would go back to it, like, every now and then for, like, a little tiny bit just to, like, play around with it just for funsies. And then recently I was like, well, for 3,000 I should probably do it, right? So I was like, okay, let's start practicing it. And when I was, like, in my last, like, 20 demons or so before 3K, I'm like, okay, let's practice it a little. And then the past few days I've just kind of ground this out. And I had a pretty rough experience with this, but my bad luck, air quotes on luck, we'll discuss that in a moment, aside... I'm really, really happy with my performance on this. This could have been a sub 10k completion very easily, and I had attempts on this from over a year ago. Like, that's pretty impressive considering how hard the list is right now. Like, I'm very happy with that. Obviously, I think if I had picked this up more recently, I wouldn't have beaten it as quickly as I did coming back to it, right? Like, I came back to it and beat it kind of like less than a week, right? And I think it would have taken a lot longer to maybe build a consistency at it, or at least a lot more dedication. Then if it would have taken a lot longer if I hadn't played it forever ago, right? Obviously, but it's definitely like it definitely would have taken less attempts if I had started playing it like last week. I wouldn't have beaten it by now, but I would have beaten it in fewer attempts, right? Probably in a few days, but whatever. Because I easily racked up like 3k attempts on this in like the first like week or so of me just kind of playing this for fun back forever ago. Probably not even a week or so, probably first few days, because I probably only played it for a few days, really. I don't know. But this is a fun level with a huge asterisk on it. Fun level for a 1.9 GDPS list level. Like... It has all of the hallmarks of a 1.9 level. It has really clever use of, you know, the limited gameplay elements there were at the time to do some really cool song expression ideas, some really fun, different, like, visual stuff, like, visual gameplay, interesting stuff, right, where it, like, looks cool, right? It also has so many inconsistencies, annoying parts, poorly balanced bits, choke points, shit that would so easily be fixed in the 2.1 editor that you wouldn't even think twice about, like, oh, well, you just fix that, right? But because it's a 1.9 level, all that shit just kind of stays in there, and you have to suffer through it. And I'm not a fan of that. And that's just kind of as a general rule for 1.9 levels, I'm really not a fan of 1.9 GDPS gameplay. Like 9 out of 10 times, it's pretty rough around the edges, and it really does not feel like it plays well. It doesn't feel like it's made with the player in mind. It feels like it's made purely with like the song and the level in mind. And if the player's struggling with it, skill issue. And it's like, sure, but also you can definitely there were some things in this level and I'm like, you could have fixed this in the 1.9 editor just with like a pure nerf or a slight little structural change, or like blocks and transitions would have been fine, right? There were just some really annoying things, and I think let's go through my copy. This is a big enough level I do want to point out some specific things. So first of all, I died to 74. So for I guess for my worst fails, my worst fail at one point was like 30 something. Like I got, yeah, like 32. I think that's my worst fail, and then I like ran all the way up. I fluked 32 to 52, and then 52, 54, somewhere in 50s, and then I fluked that to 74, and I was like, holy shit, that could have been the completion attempt, and it definitely could have at the time. I was hella consistent at the very end of this level, at the start of today. Like that, if I hadn't died at 74, that could have been the completion. I died at 74 to like one of the dumbest things ever. This blue orb is not a hard timing by any stretch of the imagination, and I just timed it late because fuck me, I guess. Twice, by the way. The third time I died here, I came out of this transition and died to the spike, which is the first thing I want to point out. So coming out of this wave, you can turn into a cube, fall down, and not be able to jump past this spike right here. Right? You can just fall out and just like, fuck you, you can't make the next jump. Which means you have to hug this slope, like right along here, right? But if you hug that slope, this is no longer like a buffer jump over the spike, because you can jump off of this slope here because you do the thing where you like stick to the slope as you fall, right? When you become a cube, you like are now stuck into the slope. It's just like, it's so fucking brain dead. Like it's just a fucking brain dead transition that this is like this. I don't know. It's just like there could have been so many things done, and this is one of those things where like in the 2.1 editor, slap down a teleport portal, problem solved, gameplay's great, right? But here it's just like, why is that left in? Why is that left in? I really didn't like that. The other thing I want to point out is just this wave. Just like in general, I really strongly disliked this wave. Because, this beginning especially, because to do this well, you want to hug like the right side of this slope, like right up along here, so that you have more room to go up on this slope, so that you have more room to go down on this slope, so you have more room to go up here, so you have more room to, like, it's just, the way to do this optimally is just to hug this right slope. So you have this corridor, and it looks like you have a ton of room, but no, you absolutely do not. If you go up here, right, if you go up like along here, like you have to let go now, right? So you're here, you're going, right? And like, look at how like, you're basically like, you can barely make it through the center of this, right? Like, look at how tight that timing is now. Like, it's just, it's not good. I really strongly dislike the beginning of this. It got consistent through sheer brute force. I was like, I hate this wave. Let's play this wave until it's second nature. And I did. And I probably sunk like 2K, not 2K, probably like 1K attempts into just like grinding the fuck out of this god-awful wave. Like, just getting it to a point where I was like, yep, I can do this in my sleep. And I basically could, and I don't think I died here once from zero. If I did, it was truly one time. I don't think I did. I really think it didn't die here from zero, which is a fucking miracle, because even when I was consistent with it, it was still something you could just die to. Because it's hard. It's just really way too hard for everything else in the level, and I really don't like this initial setup for it. I guess let's do the ending before I do the beginning. I died at 80, 81, 82, 83. Those are pretty much all my fault. Some of them, I really... The gameplay of this ending is fine. It works. It does its job okay. I really strongly dislike a lot of the clicks in this, however, because they're so finicky with no good reason to be. Like, they just feel awkward and bizarre, and you have to like learn all the weird little intricacies of every click, and nothing feels natural. Nothing in this last part feels natural. This blue orb is dependent on how you jumped off of this slope. Then holding the blue orb makes this first click of the UFO a very big dependency, to the point where if you barely fall past this spike, you have to click on beat, and if you go like high up and enter like center or higher in this portal, you're basically clicking above this spike. It was just not good. Like you're like hugging this spike on this upside down click. This yellow orb, you can die to this saw if you come into this not centered. Like if you're hugging top or bottom spike, you can just die to this saw. And if you're hugging top or bottom spike, that makes your transition into this ship different every time. And this ship's little swing down here is fucking bullshit. Because if you come into this any low at all, you have to hold up above this to do like a... No, don't move the fucking spike. To do like this thing. Here, hold on. Let's do free move. Oh my god, I'm smart. We can do this, right? You have to like go here and then like immediately duck down into this, and then straighten out. But if you come in higher, then you can kind of just coast down naturally. But if you coming in higher comes at the expense of this bottom dual cube just barely grazing the saw, right? It was just like, that's not my favorite thing in the world, gonna be honest with you. This wave's fine. It's weird at first. It got consistent. This UFO's not my favorite because you have to click this portal like the second you touch it, which means you're clicking back like here. Which, like, is fine once you know to do it. It's just kind of awkward, and this click's weird. This click was weird. And then the last 3 yellow orbs are the most chokeable fucking inputs. Oh my god. Because they're all dependent on how you jump off of the slope down here, right? Like, all 3 of these clicks, the last 3, like, real clicks of the level, are all dependent on a previous timing. This one probably being the worst, because that's a tight gap to begin with, and you have to hit that off of a double dependency. It's like, what is going on, right? And this is shit that you just wouldn't see in a 2.1 level, because it's so easy to not have these dependencies in a modern level editor, right? Like, it's not even something you think about. This click being a timing is deceptive, because you can die to this spike if you go too late, and you can die to the spikes in this little thing down here if you go too early. Mostly fine, not a difficult timing, just kind of like an annoying... If you die there, it's going to take the wind out of your sails big time, because, you know, you're like, oh yeah, we're going, here we go, final, like, ending attempt, and you just fucking die mid-air on a yellow pad jump. It's like, oh, fucking, alright. This click through these spikes right here... Here we go, let's just fucking free move. This click up here is an 8 frame on 288, which I thought at 69% was kind of bullshit. Died here at least twice from 0, possibly more, and it was pretty much a... I don't want to say pretty much a coin flip in practice, it got consistent, but it took a lot of time to get this consistent. This was something I practiced in conjunction with this wave because of the fucking brutal click right there. This ship's actually really fun, I like the ship a lot. I took the bonk strat down on this block. I know some people hold in. I thought the bonk strat lined you up way better. I liked it way more. I thought it was super consistent. I see why you would do the hold strat instead, but I really liked the bonk strat. This hold up into here and then fly through this is tricky. It's just ship control, and it's not really that bad. I did die here at least once, maybe twice from 0. It wasn't my favorite thing in the world, but it wasn't a disaster. It was fine, right? Like, if that was the worst thing in the level, this would be a 10 out of 10 enjoyment. This wave looks super hard. I found this really consistent and very fun. I don't know, maybe I just got to click pattern down and just it locked into place. I don't know. I loved this wave. This wave's one of my favorite little moments in the level. It's just so satisfying. It doesn't even sync right, and we'll get to that, by the way. We'll get to the sync aspect of sync in a little bit, don't you worry. This part was fun. Oh, this part was not. These 2 orbs suck. These 2 orbs are fucking annoying. They're not dependent because the transition's good, but you have to hit them in like a really awkward way so that your cube falls... Here, let's just fucking just use a square. Oh my god. Your cube has to like fall through them, so you're like right through there, and the hitboxes are weird because look at how corners work. Like, it was not my favorite thing. These saws should have just been moved apart a tiny bit, in my opinion, and it would have been fine. You just had to really kind of brute force learn the muscle memory for that. There was no good visual indicator for any of it. You just kind of sent it after a while. This ship's mostly fine. You have to learn the nuance for all 8 clicks in this ship. I shit you not. You have to learn the nuance for, especially the first 4. You really have to learn the nuance, because this is a click early, this is a pretty much hold until the orb, this is a let go slightly earlier than you think, and then hit as early as you can on this orb, so that the ship coming through here, like, falls and then lands there, whereas if you hold into it, let go and then hold again, you can die there with that ship, which I really didn't like, and you have to hit this early to make it up here, but because you have to let go earlier, you're lower on this orb, so you have to hit even earlier, so you can't hold up into this orb to make this jump easier, or else this ship dies. Wasn't a fan of that. But you really, truly have to learn the nuance for all the clicks in that, which I really didn't like. This swing through in this ship is fucking stupid looking. It's mostly consistent because it's just kind of a one-click, it's like, God, I just need to have my cursor show up. You just need like a one click through here, you fall, you do another click, and then boom. And it's mostly fine, it's not a big deal, but like a little bit of a nerf would have helped. I died here a lot from 0. This was annoying. These 4 orbs are fucking stupid. I didn't like these. They're not atrocious, but they're just kind of goofy, because you have to set it up so that you're getting this jump under this spike but over this saw, which means you have to hit it kind of like high and late. But if you hit it too high and too late, then you take this jump late, and you become a ball before you jump, which makes you enter this really low, barely graze above this, and you basically end up, here's your ball. You basically end up going, and then you're like here for this click. And if you click center, you die there. So you have to like kind of pay attention. Like if this jump up here feels late, you have to pay attention. Like, am I going to get the ball jump or the cube jump? And if you get the ball jump, you have to really like laten this timing over here to get it to go through. Just something that shouldn't be in a level like this. You know what I mean? That should have been fixed or tweaked in some way. And I get it. It's the 1.9 editor, so you can't. But like, right. Okay, here's my least favorite thing in the level. Is that true? I think that's true. That might be true. There's a few other stinkers, but this one was really rough. This is where I probably died most of my deaths. This was probably the part that I had the highest death to pass ratio out of all the parts that weren't like the very beginning. Let's say that. I think that's a fair statement. I think it's safe to say. This wave to this ship to this blue orb. Fucking what the hell? So first of all, this wave's just really hard and doesn't sync with the song at all. You think like no, fuck you. It's like you just fucking it's like sort of synced, and that's like all of this level. Again, we'll get to that. But you have to do this, which is already kind of hard, right? The wave is fine though. It's consistent once you get it. It's just not synced, so trying to make it sync throws you off. Again, we'll touch on that in a bit. This ship fucking blows. This ship is terrible. Because you have this gap from before, which is very similar to the one before the dual ship that I was talking about. That, like, this could have used a nerf, but it's mostly fine. It was consistent. The only problem is, to get this to be consistent, at least the only way I could find to make it consistent, you have to hold out of this ship portal, right? This, like, little gap, which is already one of my least favorite ship gameplay things. Because when you do this, you don't have any agency over when you start to move up. You just kind of start to move up eventually, which on one hand makes it more consistent, on the other hand makes it less. Because if you're in a ship part, you kind of want to know when you started clicking for, you know, to like kind of get a natural feel for your ship control. If you just kind of are let out at a point, you have to kind of immediately react to that. And it can get consistent, but it can also not. So the only way I found to do this is you hold out here, do a tiny click, fall, do a big hold click to straighten out, and then maybe one last click if needed over here. So I kind of thought of it as 4 movements, like normal, like hold out, tiny, bigger, straight. And the fact that I had to feel that out, and I didn't have to do that for any other ship part in the entire level, should pretty clearly tell you this is a choke point. This is a massive choke point. I practiced the shit out of this, and it was still pretty much a coin flip from 0. Then, best part is after this, you have one of the hardest single clicks in the level. Not because it's actually a difficult timing window, but because how you enter this cube portal entirely determines where your click window is. Because if you go in too low, you can actually die to this spike. Fun fact, I did it at least twice in practice, and thank God never from 0. But if you go in really low, you want to hit earlier, so you go down sooner through this gap. If you go in really high, you want to click later, so you don't fall onto this, and you go down through the gap, right? And with a timing this tight, that's not something you can do on the fly very easily, especially considering that all these portals cover up your ship. So you don't really have a great feel for where you're going through this. I could see someone who has a better reaction time and is much more like experienced with this kind of stuff. I could see someone not even like noticing this, but for me, this dragged down the experience massively. I mean, I was dying to this click and just going like, oh, okay. It just like entirely defeated. Like, yup, I'm fully expecting to die here every attempt. Like, this was the first butt clench moment. If I made it past this, I was like, oh shit, okay, we kind of have a run going, right? And sometimes it would immediately die to this jump, but whatever, right? That was the first thing where it's like, if I get past this wave, ship, and this blue orb, cool. We're in with a shout, there's a chance I beat the level now. You know what I mean? Like, that's stupid. That's stupid. That's stupid. Most of this was fine. This was all good. I liked all this. This was good. This jump's a 7 frame. This jump's 7 frame, and I understand that levels of this difficulty are going to have those sometimes, but when you have a weird thing where you hit this and it's kind of inconsistent where you land on this, then it's not my favorite thing, because you have to hit these blue orbs in, like, kind of early to, like, clip the corner of this block so that you can get up here and then have enough time to kind of land and feel this click out. Otherwise, you're going to be midair and you're going to be falling, like... whatever. You're going to be falling, like... here-ish, right? And you really don't have time to, like, get a good feeling for the click time, the, like, timing for this click here. So I really had to, like, boop, 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 clip the front corner of this, hit this as soon as I could, so I, like, right up here, and then I'm kind of sliding, and then I can kind of get a feel for the click. I just really don't like having to set stuff up like that for consistency. That was kind of annoying. This whole section, I don't have a ton of critique. I'll just say that all of the dual portal setups like this just sometimes fucked up. Like, just sometimes they would just, like, fuck you over for no reason. Like, I cannot count how many times that my duels looked like this coming through here, basically. Where this... Oh, fuck you. Give me that cube. There we go. Where, like, the one barely makes it over the saw, and the one barely doesn't die to the spikes up top. Like, I can't tell you how many times this fucking happened. It's just bizarre. It's just bizarre, dude. It's so weird. Over here, too, this click in particular is kind of annoying, because if you hit it weird, you go up too high, then you're, like, really high for this orb. And if you hit it too, like, weird, you can be late, and then you can, like, or low, and you can, like, die to this block. I don't know. It's just, like, shit like that. Like, why? The infamous sync wave. I actually found this really consistent once I practiced it enough. This was definitely, like, probably one of the hardest parts, if not the hardest part of the level. Once I got it down, this was pretty much trivial. Like, I would still die here a lot, because it's not easy, but, like, I was never, like... I never felt like this was, like, an insurmountable choke point in comparison to the rest of the difficulty. I was like, oh, it's a tough wave in a tough level, but it's consistent. It gets very, very consistent. At least it did for me. This was fine, this was fine, this was fine, this was fine, whatever. This hold-up thing was kind of weird, but it got consistent towards the end of my playtime, so I don't really care. These 5 clicks all suck! Oh my god, I hate these clicks. These clicks, right here, are not my favorite. Because this blue-up click is dependent on how you came out of the wave, right? And if you hit it way up high, then you swing down way more, and you're, like, way late on this orb. So you have to hit this orb late to make it through this gap. But if you hit this orb late, then you're lower on this pink orb. So you have to hit this pink orb, like, frame 1 to make it over this spike. And if you don't, you die to this spike, right? But if you're thinking ahead, you're like, oh, well, I want to center myself on this portal, so I'll click this early. But then you would die to these spikes, right? And then this click's mostly fine, but this click's not. And this click is entirely dependent on this click. And it's such a fucking hard timing because, oh my god, look at the hitboxes here. Oh, fuck you. I just played. Whoops. Look at the hitboxes here. Like, this is stupid. This is stupid. I hate that. These 5 clicks were really annoying. Especially being at the very start of, like, kind of the momentum of the level, right? Like, you get past the wave and you're like, cool, we're going! And you just hit this fucking annoying roadblock of super inconsistent click dependencies. Didn't love it. Didn't love it. Wasn't a fan. This wave is really fun when you do it. I mind blocked on it a few times playing, as I will do with, like, just about anything at the beginning of the level. This was pretty fun, though. This wave is, like, very good once you learn it. I really, really like this click pattern a lot. It feels super satisfying. And then this beginning's just brutally hard. I don't really have any critiques of it. It really, all of it got consistent once I figured out what the fuck I was doing. It's just all really fucking hard. And, like, you know me, I'll take a hard beginning over a difficult... Like, I'll take a difficult beginning over a difficult end, but still, like, oh my god, this beginning is tough. I wouldn't say... I'd say, balance-wise, it's probably not as hard as Lucci's beginning is to Lucci's end, and I'm comparing it to Lucci because they're similar in difficulty. This beginning is not as hard as Lucci's beginning. Lucci's beginning is fucking stupid hard. But it's definitely not trivial. This is very difficult. This click oh, fuck you. This click I don't like. This click's stupid. This just, like, should have been nerfed, in my opinion. Like, it's really... I think it's like a 6 frame, 7 maybe. Not my favorite thing. Didn't love it. This click here is not my favorite thing either. This is really tight. I don't know. It's mostly fine, though, and it's early on enough in the level that I'm like, I'm not too pressed about it. Now, my other main comment I want to make about this... Oh, excuse me, about this level... Oh, and I'll say, I guess I should say, deco. I like the deco in this. I'm not an expert on 1.9 stuff. I'm not super immersed in 1.9 deco standards, whatever. But this looks really nice. Like, seeing this made in the 1.9 editor, and I'm like, that's really impressive, right? The colors and the orange bits, like, you made orange look really just, like, genuinely kind of pretty. Usually orange feels very, like, in your face, like, aggressive, and usually when it's muted, it feels like brown, but this feels like an orange part that's actually kind of, like, pretty and nice. And, like, I like that, right? That's difficult to do, so very good color usage. The purple's really good. good. The whole, like, color combo is just so nice. Like, look at this fucking, like, the little... Look at the little, like, shimmer on all the stuff. It's so good. Like, visually, I really like this level a lot. Like, these are... Oh, the fucking circles are so cool. Yeah, visually, this level's great. And the little flashes for drop, too. Like, that's cool! That's fucking sick! Like, yeah, it's so good. I love the visuals in this level a lot. I really do. It's really good for a 1.9 level. Just great, masterful 1.9 editor work, as far as I can tell. Again, maybe if you play on the 1.9 GDPS editor, you have better critiques of some of this, but it looks really nice to the untrained eye. My eye being that eye. However, this being called sync, I don't know if that was just a nod to the moderator, like the player, like sync, or if it was called sync because it syncs. Because if it's called sync because it syncs, it should not be called sync because it doesn't sync. It visually like looks like it kind of syncs, and the parts are definitely, the clicks are very definitely influenced by the melodies and the notes. They're not synced to the notes. I think there were maybe 2 clicks in this whole level, maybe, that I actually used an audio cue for. And most of the time I was using an audio cue that was like, wait so long after this note, as opposed to click on this note. Just nothing in the syncs. Nothing in the syncs. It's all very close approximations of the sync. So if you're going into this like, oh, I love click sync levels, this will be great, turn away, run, leave. If you want to play a click sync level, get the fuck away from this level. It has no click sync. Genuinely, it's all very close. It's all very close, to the point where when you're first learning some of the stuff, especially at the ending, you can kind of get carried by the sync, but you're not going to be consistent at it until you learn how early or late every specific click is, because nothing's quite synced up right. And a lot of that is because a lot of this insisted on being kind of snap to grid, at least it felt that way. Great example being the wave at, like, I think 88, is it? The, like, 4-click, the, you know, the... like the fucking, the one at the end that looks all cool. You have to click a little bit faster than the notes there, because every 3 blocks, which is what I think how the wave is laid out, is a little bit faster than the beat. Clicking every 3 blocks is a little bit faster than the actual beat of the song, right? The wave at, like, 25, is that where the wave is? Doesn't actually sync. Like, it's supposed to be dun, 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 and it was more dun, dun, dun. Like, it's pretty much 3 even clicks. Like, looking at it, it's pretty intuitively like, that's 3 even clicks in the song. It's dun, 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 dun. Like, that's not even. You know what I mean? So shit, like, air quotes, syncs. Like, it's a sync level, kind of, but not really. Not really. Like, the only part that I think actually, like, I could call a sync part is the dual mini ship. That part's just straight up, that part syncs. That part syncs. Like, you just click to the beat, it's good, it makes sense, it totally follows the song beats to a T. Every other part is very nuanced, and a lot of the times the actual sync was just kind of thrown out the window, which, again, is probably sort of a byproduct of it being a 1.9 level, because getting really good click sync at this difficulty without, like, green orbs, black orbs, teleports, anything, that's tricky. That's really hard. So I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing that it doesn't sync. I'm just saying it doesn't sync. Like know that going into it if you're looking to potentially play this. Would I recommend this level? Sure. It's fine. It's okay. I could see someone really liking this, especially if they're better than me at the game. Like, if you've beaten a few main lists pretty comfortably and you want to give this a try, give this a try. If you're looking to do this as a hardest, I'd maybe steer clear, because it's not the most straightforward difficulty a lot of the times. A lot of the difficulty comes from, like I say, transition management, like inconsistent, like click dependencies, getting click dependencies kind of like smoothed out, a lot of grinding for just like muscle memory of clicks, and a lot of it is just kind of hoping that you don't die to the choke points and inconsistencies, which is not my favorite thing in a level, and I don't think anyone would like doing that for a hardest personally. I don't know, maybe you're crazy. But I would recommend this if it's not going to be your hardest. And that seems like the crowd that's liked it, too. It seems like the people that have enjoyed this level are the people that are doing it as, like, a definitely not my hardest at all. Right? So, I don't know. It's fine. It's not terrible. It's solid. It's cool. I'm very glad I've beaten it, and I'm very glad I have 3,000 demons. It feels good to have another list level, too. Where the fuck is this on the list? I don't know. I'll figure out where I think this is in relation to Lucci. I think this is probably... What does the list say? Hold on. Before I end the recording, which is probably... This is probably my longest fucking upload ever. Oh my god. Before I end the recording, where is this on the list? Hold on. Sync is currently... Where are you, Sync? Where are you? Where's Sync? Sync is 123, Lucci is 124. So yeah, they're basically the same difficulty. That's kind of what I felt too. I really don't see a huge difference in difficulty, and it's even harder for me to kind of judge the difference in difficulty, because like I say, I've been playing this level off and on for a year, and I ground Lucci out in basically like a few months, right? And I beat Lucci a while ago, and I've beaten a new hardest since, and then I came back to this, so like, my experience is weird. This is relatively difficult. This is relatively the same difficulty as Loochiverse. I'm gonna say this is probably a little harder, maybe. I could see this... I'm gonna say this is actually just a tiny bit easier than Loochiverse, just because the shit at the beginning of Loochiverse is harder than anything in this level by a landslide. The very beginning of Loochiverse is fucking brutal, and while this level is, I think, slightly longer and slightly more consistently difficult, the shit at the beginning of Loochiverse, I'm gonna say, pushes it just over Sync. I think Lucci getting nerfed as much as it did was kind of a mistake, personally, now that I've played Sync and seen where Sync has placed, especially now that Sync's just recently been updated to on the list. Like, I think it got moved up a bit or down a bit, I don't know. But now that Sync's been kind of updated, its placement's been updated, so I know it's pretty much where the general consensus kind of has it. I think Loochiverse needs to be a little tiny bit higher than this, but just like a tiny little bit, like a little tiny bit. But yeah, cool, yay, 3,000 demons. I'm done. For real, I'm actually going to end the video here. Thank you all, and keep your eyes peeled for 3141. That's all I have to say. I'm gonna cut the recording here now. Bye.